Good morning, everyone, and welcome to episode one of What If Deku Was Hyperion. Now, this episode starts off with on another planet, basically, with a scientist basically strapping a child into a pod. This one, I'm going to use I think it's more recent or second most recent iteration of Hyperion, which just basically goes straight into Superman origins, basically. So yeah, the scientist basically straps his son into a pod and launches him away. As this is happening, basically the sun, the star that surrounds the planet, basically explodes in a supernova that basically torches their planet and the entire solar system around it. As Deku and multiple other pods, those some of them are caught in the explosion, and others are knocked off course. As Deku goes directly on course, in fact, straight for Earth. Now, at this point, Hasashi and Inko are basically going on a hiking trip into the mountains, basically, to spend time with each other, to just have some fun for once. So as they're doing that, because they're basically depressed because neither of them can actually have children, basically. So with that out of mind, they think of adoption and stuff like that. So now, as they're doing this, basically a meteor shower. It's nighttime. They're just having fun, enjoying themselves, and we basically know like this, like a meteor shower happens basically, and they're both stunned by how beautiful it is. And then they notice something strange, basically, as one of the meteors basically comes off course, basically. And Hisashi and Inko and Hisashi just wondering what's happening before the meteor, or rather pod, comes rushing past them and crashes into the side of a mountain just a few miles away. So Hisashi goes to investigate, and what does he find but a young Izuku basically resting in that pod, wearing a red baby outfit, an outfit basically this color of red with this symbol on it, as you see in the picture, basically lying asleep in the pod as it opens up. Now Hisashi is wondering, what is this? How could this be? Are there aliens and stuff like that? So now he picks up the baby, Jin, basically, lightly as possible, just in case something goes wrong. And the baby just opens his mouth, opens his eyes, and just starts laughing and giggling as he sees him, basically. And they start reaching out for him. Hisashi basically, as he looks at the baby, he activates his more fatherly instincts, and he just holds the baby closer and reaches to Inko. You know, as she sees him, she's stunned by what happened. Where did he get the baby? And he's like, it came out of that pod, it came out of that asteroid, but it doesn't seem it was actually an asteroid. It was more of a pod, it looks like. And she's shocked by this, wondering, if like he was if it was sent by someone up above, like if it was basically aliens or something. And he kind of agrees with that possibility, but right now he doesn't seem dangerous. He's just a little baby, basically. And she looks at Deku, and she basically start her heart basically, and she has feelings for him, basically has feeling of those motherly instincts as well. So she decides to take him in as well. So now Deku is going to be raised by the both of them as their adopted child. They take him to the place, they adopt, where they change his name and adopt him as their own, basically, after some paperwork. And Deku's powers don't really activate immediately, basically. Don't activate immediately, because they don't know what's gonna happen, but a quirk test is kind of necessary when he reaches 3, basically. So now, at that time, Deku goes to the quirk doctor, where he meets the doctor, and he's like, so little boy, what do you want to be when you grow up? Deku's like, Deku's 3 at this point. He's like, I want to be a hero. Like, almighty doctor says, I'm sorry, but that's not possible. Because we can see here, like you have that extra joint in your toe, basically, that the new quirk people don't have. And Deku's like, what? And Deku's just staring at it with that blank expression on his face. Inko herself basically says that, because she's just crying and stuff for Deku, but in her mind she's like, it's not certain if that picture doesn't go work for Deku himself, because there's no possibility that it actually has effect, that he might actually have powers for himself. But for right now, she's basically, feeling sorry for him, for the expression he has on his face, basically. And Deku goes home, he watches that All Might video, you get that especially sad moment where Deku just rocking back and forth and crying. Sad days. But now we enter to school, basically. Deku goes to school, he meets up, adds some friends with Bakugo and stuff like that. He's basically having a good time for it. When Bakugo gets his quirk, and asks Deku if he has his quirk, Deku says, "No, I don't have a quirk yet." And Bakugo's like, typical. You're just weak. Of course you won't have a quirk. You're just defenseless. And Bakugo's just acting all prideful and arrogant about his new power. But Deku doesn't really care, he kind of looks up to Bakugo still. Well, that's gonna change real soon, basically. So now, as Deku and Bakugo, Bakugo falls and Deku goes to help him up, and Bakugo just starts to, go against Deku and just starts picking on him and bullying him. And when Deku asks why, Bakugo says because he's weak and he doesn't have a quirk, and he's useless, basically. Defenseless Deku. And, this gets Deku angry, and Bakugo starts bullying him and picking on him every day, and saying he's gonna be the next #1 hero. And Deku, in the back of his mind, is like, the way you act, you could never be the number one. They could never be the #1 hero, #1, much less a hero. But Deku doesn't say it out loud, because he's still afraid of Bakugo as much as he dislikes him. And now, at this point, we're gonna get to the moment when Bakugo is bullying that kid, and Deku steps up and says, "No, you can't do that, Bakugo. It's not heroic." Bakugo says, "What does it matter what you said, Deku? You're weak. There's nothing you can do. It's just gonna take me a little bit longer to get to that kid, or I might just beat up you and just leave him alone, or maybe just both." And then Deku says, "I won't let you do either of those things." And Bakugo and his cronies just start laughing and just go at Deku and start throwing explosions. And Deku himself, he just closes his eyes and just throws a punch at Bakugo. And when Bakugo was thinking that this isn't going to do anything to me, his view quickly changed that he's just sent flying across the playground into a wall. And his cronies are just, and when Deku opens his eyes and just looks out, and the cronies are just shocked. And when they come at him as well, Deku just starts throwing random punches, hitting them as well, and sending them flying too. And you have the many students that were up in the school and the teachers who just witnessed this and are shocked, because they're like, they thought Deku didn't have a quirk. They thought he was quirkless, and Deku's just saying they're amazed at what he just did, and he looks back at the kid who's just shocked as well. Deku extends his hand to help him up, and the kid basically just kind of shaking accepts that Deku helps him up. And now the teacher comes out, and they take Bakugo into the hospital and call Deku's parents for what happened, And the teacher explains what happened, what Deku did to his mom and what Bakugo was doing to his parents, And they're like, they're gonna take better disciplining him, and Deku's mom is gonna say that she's gonna help him make sure that doesn't happen again. And so Deku's rise to heroism starts from here. As Deku within his own, neighborhood, basically, Deku actually starts trying to be heroic, basically. It starts with a little vigilante work, basically. It starts with a little vigilante work, using his strength to stop robberies that he sees and stuff like that, putting on the squad mask, and Deku earns a little, and a little fame for himself. But this is years later, like when he's around 10 going 12 at this point. That's when this starts happening. He uses his strength, to help people with their cars, moving and stuff like that. And Inko and Asashi are just looking at this saying, they did their good work, Deku's strength, the way he's acting is going to make a good hero one day. And they're just proud of that, what they've done there. So now at this point, Deku's it's the end of middle school, basically. They're all celebrating, the teacher walks in like, I know, here are your career applications, sign them and do all that stuff to choose who you're gonna be. And then he's just like, just pauses for a moment and throws them up in the air, because he's just like, I know what you all wanna be, I know what you all wanna do. You all wanna be heroes. And they're all celebrating using their quirks, and Deku's just over there smiling, He's more confident in this, basically more proud and stuff like that. And Bakugo's just like, don't lump me in any of these losers. They'll be lucky to even reach C rank. C-rank sidekicks with B-listers and stuff like that. And they're all like, oh, shut up, Bakugo, yeah, and they're like that. And Bakugo just turned on using explosions, and some of them just stripped down. And Deku's just there watching this, and he's just looking at Bakugo. Before he can say anything, the teacher is just like, yes, Kasuke Bakugo, yes, you signed for UA, right? You signed up for UA. If I'm correct, you have the high grades, you can make it in. And they're like, what, UA? Bakugo? I mean, he does have the high grades and stuff like that, as the teacher said, but is he certain? Bakugo just jumps on the table. What do you all say? I'm gonna be here. I'm gonna be next #1, the best hero there ever was. And then the teacher's just like, Izuku Midoriya, you have the highest grade in the school and you also signed up for UA. And Bakugo just tenses up and looks back at Deku, who's just smiling at him at this point. There's this smiling this grin on his face. And Deku's like, yeah, I'm gonna go be #1 here, I'm gonna go to UA. And everyone just surrounding him, celebrating and saying, yeah, Deku got the power for that, he got the quirk, he can do that. And Bakugo just tenses up and just starts getting a little bit angry, basically. You know what, Deku? Because he's a little bit jealous of Izuku at this point, because everybody likes him more and he's just better almost at everything than him, basically. So now it's the end of class, everybody's going home. Bakugo basically walks up to Deku, snatches his school book and says, Deku, you're not gonna go UA, get out of it, sign off on it, basically. And Deku stands up to Bakugo, basically looking down, because Deku is as tall as Ida in this, a little bit more muscular. And Deku says, no, I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna be next #1 hero, unlike you. And Deku asks what they mean, and Deku's like, ever since we were kids, you've always wanted to be a hero. You always said you wanted to be #1, but you never acted like it, not once. You always acted the villain, always acted evil and villainous and bullied people less than you. You've not once acted like you wanted to be a hero. And Deku just instantly snatches the book out of Bakugo's hand and he gets angry. And he says, if you want to go to UA, I won't stop you, or I won't tell you not to go as you tried with me. But if you want to go to UA, you best start acting the part of a hero. And he picks up his bag and walks away. At this point, Bakugo's getting angry and pissed off, and he just knows that he can't do much against Deku, basically. Deku's just walking home. He decides to take the shortcut, to reach home faster, to tell his parents, what happened today. And then all of a sudden, when he's walking by, he just smells something. Because, Deku kind of has hyper senses, like hearing, smell, and that stuff, and he just covers his nose and almost barfs. And something as a sludging just hops out of the sewers and just wraps around him, basically. Deku's wondering, and he just says, I'm gonna take your body, I didn't know he was around, you're mine, and he just tries to go into Deku's body. Deku closes his mouth, basically, and as the surgeon is trying to force his way in there, and Deku's wondering how he's gonna get out of this, is he gonna die, And then his eyes just start lighting up, basically, as he activates his heat vision and just blasts a hole through the sludge villain and into the sky as well, leaving a few holes there in the heavens, basically. The sludge villain just starts, screaming in pain at what happened. Deku just starts swinging his arms trying to get this villain off of him, basically. And then he just hears, I am here. And then there's just a sonic, and then there's just a epic power wind pressure as Deku just blown back a few feet. And the sludge villain just splattered everywhere. Deku's wondering what just happened when he looks up and his jaw just drops all the way to the other side of the world as he sees All Might before him. Deku's a little bit, stunned and shocked, and he's just, All Might, it's you. And Deku and All Might are going, you're still awake after that. Well then, young boy, I'm sorry it took so long. Sorry it took so long. And then All Might just looks up at the hole in the wall and is like, did you do that? And Deku, after being a moment of just being stunned, All Might just snaps his fingers in front of him. Deku wakes up, And I'm asking, what did you say? I'm asking, did you do that? And Deku looks up at the hole in the bridge, and he's just like, yeah, I guess. I didn't know. I just thought I had a strength quirk basically. And All Might's just like, must be a double quirk or something similar to that. And Deku just shakes his head, and All Might just starts gathering up the Sludge Vision and just moves to walk away. But Deku, appears before him and he's like, All Might, can I have a, can you, sign my book? And All Might just like, sure thing. And Deku, and he signs it and just hops away. And Deku just left smiling basically. And just walks home to tell his parents what happened. And that's the end of today's video. Sorry if there were any problems with it. I'm a new guy, soon enough I might get used to this. But until then, see you all later. Bye.